A red flag warning, triple-digit temperatures and Santa Ana winds mean fire crews and San Diego County residents are on high alert for extreme fire danger. Here with some ideas on what you can do to protect your home and neighborhood are Deputy Fire Marshal Eddie Villavicencio and Rick Halsey with the California Chaparral Institute. Welcome.
Thank you.
Eddie, past wildfires have taught us that rural homes aren't the only ones at risk, of course. What can you do to create a buffer zone around any home?
First and foremost, create a defensible space. Every fire agency has rules and regulations on what your specific community is required to have the defensible space. In short, create 100 feet of defensible space by selective, thin trimming and pruning the vegetation. This will give fire crews time to respond there and space to fight the fire.
And Rick, firefighters use control burns to kind of get rid of this dry vegetation that we're talking about, and in part to create some of this defensible space. But what else can you do to protect your home?
The best way to think of a home or a piece of property is like a ship. And, you've got a hole in the bow and a hole in the stern, and everyone focuses on this one hole, but the ship's going down anyway. And what I'm talking about is it's not just about the vegetation. San Diego City's got a great defensible space program. It helps people understand how to do it properly, because if you don't do it the right way, you can actually increase fire risk. But the other thing is the house burns because it's flammable. So you've got to figure out how to reduce that risk. Change out your roof to make sure it's fire resistant. Ember resistant vents are really important because most homes in this county go down because of ember impingement. In other words, ember gets up into the attic or on the junk of plywood, and so that whole issue is what's important. So the vents actually
that circulate air into your home suck the embers inside. What about your gutters or trash? Are there other things you can do besides this vegetation?
Oh, sure. I mean, the gutters, that's where the embers land a lot. And most people don't think about that. And it's a constant headache, right? You got to get the litter out of there. And so that's got to be taken care of too. So unless you attach the whole equation and understand it, you're not really going to do the job.
And Eddie, we're looking at video from past wildfires, which is just devastating, so we all remember it quite well. Let's say you've done your job, you've created a defensible space around your home, but your neighbors haven't. What options do you have as far as helping them to move along to protect your home ultimately? Within
the city of San Diego, we have what's called a brush and weed hotline. It's 24/7. It is staffed, normal business hours, Monday through Friday. It's 619-533-4444, and you can call in the complaint. We'll evaluate it and then have somebody inspect it.
What happens, so if they're inspected and let's say those safety codes aren't in place, is there some sort of follow-up? Is there a fine to the neighbor, or how can you maybe persuade your neighbor to do a better job?
If the property is found to be in violations, a notice of violation is actually issued to the property owner. We give them a due process, some time to voluntarily correct it. Unfortunately, if they don't, then at that point it's called a forced abatement, and we have it abated and brought into compliance. That's not our goal. Our goal is to educate people so they're proactive and voluntarily bring their properties into compliance.
And Rick, as far as let's go back to protecting your own personal home. What if you're on a canyon and you want to sort of have that vegetation abatement down a little bit further on the canyon? Are there environmental issues that need to be considered?
Sure. I mean, we live in these areas because we like nature, so you don't want to whack it and completely destroy it. And some of these homes actually in canyons are not defensible anyway. They ought not have been built. But that said, you can do a lot of things on the house. And again, the focus is continually on the vegetation, but you've got to look at the house, and you start from the house out instead of from the wild end in, if that makes sense. And you got to get that house fire safe. And look in the mirror and say, what can I do to protect my house so it doesn't become a concentrated source of fuel that'll ignite other homes?
Do you think, Eddie, as far as when you drive around neighborhoods in areas, how well prepared do you think San Diegans are for wildfire season?
We're doing a lot better than we were 15 years ago. Each fire, we learn a lot more, and we get the public to buy in more and do proactive instead of being reactive to the fire. Like today would not be a good day to go out and do brush management because of conditions. I've seen a great change. The key also is just not doing it once, it's maintaining it. It's very important to have a schedule in doing it. We had mentioned earlier that it's kind of like a haircut. You need to do it as often as you think needs to be done, once, twice a year at least.
And all right, Rick Halsey and Deputy Fire Marshal Eddie Villavicencio, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.